Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. It means a lot that you guys keep clicking. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making. And today we have our last video of the week before we have our podcast. And after that, it's on to week 2 of Survivor. But staying with week 1, today I'm going to talk about the whole prisoner's dilemma situation that happened in episode 1. I'm going to talk about all types of stuff. I'm going to talk about all three people who were faced with this choice, like how it's going to affect the game in the future, what I would have done, how they did, and ranking how they did from best to worst. Xander did best, JD to worst, but that's not that's not a here nor there. But what I'm saying overall is I'm going to discuss the whole prisoner's dilemma and how that really was probably the highlight of the episode for me personally. And so I thought I'd just make a video on it. And so yeah, 72% of you guys who watch this videos aren't subscribed. Let's change that. It's easy and it's free. And if that's it, let's get right into this video. So before we really get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, I just want to say Jeff had actually spoiled this in his Twitter backyard segment where he spoils half the episode. I'm joking, but no. But before the season dropped, I believe Jeff did 3 of these where he gave us 3 scenarios. I think the first one was, would you put yourself in the puzzle role and in order to save your tribe, which obviously ended up being Sarah. And then he gave one where it was like something else, and then he also gave one where it was like, if you were given the opportunity to go to a different island, would you take the opportunity, and then what would you do if you had to lie to people when you got back, or would you tell the truth? And this was that situation. And so let's just get right into it. So Danny immediately goes. He volunteers himself because he's frustrated because they're all dilly dallying and not making decisions. He says, "You know what? Screw it. I'll do it." He seemed kind of frustrated, like he didn't do it because he wanted to do it. He did it because everybody else was kind of teeter tottering around the idea and trying to like play all mind games, and Danny is just not having it. So he was like, "All right, I'll do it then, whatever." And also, I think that Danny didn't see it as a complete negative because he knew that his tribe is not going to vote him out this early because he is such a physical asset that he's not going to like burn his entire game by going to wherever to get possibly have a chance at getting an advantage. Then Xander is chosen by his tribe, which like because he quote unquote won't lie, and this really made me think that his quote unquote dumb guy persona that like he says that he's like working on trying to get like in people's head is working. Now whether that's on purpose because he's like his plan is succeeding, or because he's just being the dumb guy, whether it's purposeful or just kind of inadvertently happening, it's working either way. And so good for Xander. And so he was chosen by his tribe. He didn't volunteer himself, but he didn't argue back. And then the Ua tribe pick rocks because no one could decide. I don't know if everyone wanted to go or if everyone didn't want to go, but I guess it ended up where JD picked. I believe it was a white rock. And then so then he was the one who went to the island. He definitely was not thrilled. So he had said in the episode that it's not that that he's scared of what's going to happen on the island. He's scared of having to come back and explain himself, especially if he like doesn't win the advantage and then has to go back and explain to his tribe that he didn't win an advantage. And overall, I think he sees it as definitely a net negative overall for him, and not necessarily a good thing for his game. Moving on, the boat ride going up to this was super cool, by the way, super epic. Of course, you have JD's hair flowing in the back. JD always looking spiffy, and so I personally like the whole hiking aspect and like the getting to know each other thing, because I think it worked in this scenario because it like allowed them to gauge whether or not each other would take the advantage or not. And so when they were, told, okay, now you're going to split up, and the advantage, disadvantage, that they were probably all thinking of their head on about the stuff that they all said on the walk up, and so it allowed them to kind of intermingle, especially if there's not going to be a swap, which that's what people are like rumoring and saying, and so it allows for tribes to intermingle. Obviously, maybe it's not like some cross tribal crazy alliance like in token chains, but yeah, it's something. It's something in this something in this case is so much better than no cross tribal intermingling or whatever word you want to use to describe it. And I think this especially worked for the guys, like this whole hiking aspect, because it like really fit into like, we're three bros. We're just hiking up, and like we're talking. I feel like if there was like two bros and a girl, I don't think that the vibe would have worked as well. But I think because it was all guys, it just worked really well. The hike and the hike like really fit them well, and allowed for them to kind of just be like, yeah, like where are you from, like this and that. Well, it didn't get too deep, but it got deep enough to the point where we got like some character moments, especially out of JD, who I believe this is when he tells us about how he got bullied, and how he hasn't always been like this swagger kind of like good looking type of guy, and that he used to get bullied for being short, for being skinny, and it seems like he's gone through a fair lot, like a fair amount, for just being 20 years old, and so good for him. And then I said that when they get to the top and they have to split up, they seem to be like saying, "Oh, it's gonna be like the twist where it's either like for the tribe or for yourself." And I believe they're telegraphing that this is going to be a repeat of the Kagiyan twist, which they were sadly mistaken about. They had thought that it was going to be the Kagiyan twist, where you either take for yourself or you take for the tribe, and then you have to come back and explain to the tribe like, oh, it was this or it was that. And so it's interesting. And then on top of that, the twist itself, right? So I think we get, is it Danny first? And Danny immediately, I mean, it takes him a little bit, but immediately Danny says, "Nope, I'm gonna keep my vote. It's not worth losing my vote over." And I think this was honestly the right choice for Danny in this spot, because I don't think Danny necessarily needed to have an extra vote in this spot. I don't think Danny's going to have any trouble in the pre-merge, and in the post-merge. And an extra vote doesn't really help you unless you're like getting past the final 8. And so it's kind of like, I feel like this wasn't really Danny's time to make make a risk, and I think overall it worked out for Danny. And so now, with that knowledge, we know that if either of them pick risk that they're going to get the advantage. Period. End of story. Then we're shown that Xander risks, and so we know right then and there that Xander will get the extra vote. Xander doesn't know that, but we know. Jairus's decision isn't shown, but it's kind of hinted at when he gets back, because he tells us that he's lying to his tribe when he's just telling them that he picked he picked that to keep his vote. So if he was lying about that, that means in reality he didn't pick to keep his vote, which is the truth. And so overall, I think Jairus definitely does the worst job explaining here. But yeah, so we're not told until after, when Xander and JD go to vote. And I'm wondering if Danny had gone to tribal. Sorry, if Danny had risked his vote and lost his vote, would he lose his vote the first time he went, or is it only if he lost this challenge for the first like round of voting out? I don't know. But yeah, so then Danny tells the truth when he gets back to camp. Right, he tells his whole tribe the truth. He doesn't screw it up. Good job, Danny. Like, there's just not much to comment on there. It's just like Danny did a good job. He didn't screw up his entire game. He basically told just like the truth. There's really no caveats there, and it ended up working out for him. And then Xander tells the truth, we assume, about sharing it with his tribe. Now we don't know. For all we know, he's saying that, and then he'll just cross them all at a swap, or use it for himself at the merge, or if he's in trouble with Evie, Liana, and Tiffany teaming up against him and David. Which, by the way, I think that might actually be a big cool tribal if he can cast an extra vote and cause a tie there. But I think overall, Xander does the best job with this, right? Because he shows his intelligence by being honest with the tribe, and even then, his honesty even then adds to his dumb guy persona, because they're like, oh, of course this guy would tell us, right? And so he's not only being honest, he's not only making a good move for himself, but he's also feeding into his persona as an all shucks, dumb guy, which is just perfect for him. And I think overall, he definitely handles this better than Danny or JD. JD is definitely the worst one to handle all this, and so let's just get into JD. So JD basically stumbles and pauses over all of his words throughout the entire story, and he kind of glosses over the actual advantage part itself, which makes it feel kind of shady, because he's not into too much detail. Like he talked a lot about the boat ride there and the trek up the mountain, and like all that stuff like that. But then he just kind of quickly glosses over the fact, oh yeah, and there was like a prisoner's dilemma, and like he explains it very vaguely and very quickly without like a lot of detail, which I feel like is not good for him overall. And then he does the same with the whole like lying thing, saying that like he kept his vote, and that because that's stupid of him to risk it, which I do think that's good. Is like saying, oh, like how stupid would I be to drop like lose my vote? That'd be a terrible idea. I think that's good, but everything else, like his whole execution on how he told the story, very very bad. And so, in my opinion, the order of best played to worst played is definitely Xander, Danny, and then JD at the end of that list. Definitely the worst one. I'm definitely high on Xander coming off of this twist, like higher than I was, going into this little prisoner's dilemma. Um, you know, let's just pause in the comments. What would you guys do if you're an individual? Now you don't know who the other two are. So let's say you're just in a room, right? This is like, let's say it's not on Survivor, just in a room. Do you risk your vote or do you not risk your vote, and why? All right, moving on. In the end, I guess it kind of worked out for JD and Xander, though. Even though Danny probably handled the situation better than JD, JD comes out with more advantages than Danny because Danny has 0 and JD has 1. So, I mean, I guess in the end, the real winners are JD and Xander. Even though JD had to put a target on his back doing it more than Xander did, I think Xander's definitely the clear winner of this, and JD also comes out with like a win because he has the advantage. I don't know how much it's going to help him if the whole tribe turns against him. In fact, it won't help him at all. But in a tribe of 5, it's actually super valuable to have that. And so I am curious to see how that's just gonna overall help his game, hurt his game. Is he gonna ever be able to recover from that target, or is he's just gonna flame out in the next episode or the episode after that? We'll have to see. But yeah, so I think overall, like I like this. Like this was a highlight of the episode for me. I love when people are faced with dilemmas because it's on them. It's on their like it is on their personal responsibility to make a good choice. There's no one that they can blame it except themselves if they make a dumb choice, and I like that. I'm all about personal responsibility. So if you can't do it yourself, you shouldn't be asking for anybody else to help you. You're a grown adult. You sign up for the game, then you need to make a good decision and execute well. And I actually really like these dilemmas and these social twists because it means that you can't just bend bomb your way to the end, or you can't just win out. Like you have to be socially there, and you can't be socially inept and like go forward in the game without consequences. And I feel like that's a really good thing with these little dilemmas, is that it's also really easy to put yourself in their position and be like, oh well, I would do this. And I love like relating my thought process to the game, because that's the closest I'm getting right now to playing the game until I'm able to apply for the show. And obviously I'm going to get on the first season I can apply, but that's neither here nor there. No, but so yeah, again, thank you guys as always for watching these videos. If you have any suggestions, let me know. We have a podcast coming out tomorrow. It's going to be my predictions in Power Rankings podcast, which I will do every single week on Saturdays. No video on Sunday, and we're back Monday and Tuesday with preview videos for week 2 of Survivor 41. Yes, we are already at another episode. I know it seems like it's going to take so long for episode 2 to come out, but it's actually a lot closer than you think. Think about it. We waited a year and a half for episode 1, and now we're waiting 5 days. Literally less than 100 hours. No. Maybe when you see this, it'll be less than 100 hours. Put it that way. There you go. Math ends up working out. I win. Math loses. All right, guys. Overall, thank you so much for continuously watching. Like, subscribe, but most importantly, turn on that notification bell. It means off when you guys do that. And if you guys keep clicking, I will keep making these videos.